Glover is the origin story of the Smash Bros. Antagonist, Master Hand. Okay, wait, no, that doesn't sound right. Glover is a licensed game partnered up with Hamburger Helper to help sell more pasta. Okay, wait, that still doesn't seem right. Glover is an underdog story detailing the trials and tribulations of childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover. Man, that's still, something's not right here. Now, I can't even begin to think about the thought process that led to this game's development. A lot of 3D platformers of this time brought us characters who, a lot of them were animals, there were some aliens here and there, but a glove? Dude, like, why? Why does this exist? A platformer featuring a glove? I mean, it must have worked though. To be fair, I remember specifically asking for this game when I was a kid, and this is still my original copy. Hell, I'm amazed I remember this, but it even sponsored classic WWF for a little while.
It's presented by Glover. New Nintendo 64. Gotta love the glove.
What kind of sick timeline? Now, I haven't played this game in quite a while, and actually this is going to be the first time that I go ahead and beat it. So, that's a bit of a momentous occasion. Let's see what I've been missing out on all these years. It's a glove. Why? A large, lovely castle. I'm liking this so far. So here's the story. Here we have the wizard, named the Wizard. It's a good thing they told me. Okay, so that's not how that works at all. You don't just toss the entire vial in the pool of evil goo. Oh, and hey, look at that, it exploded. That's what you get. As a result of the explosion, he turns into stone and falls to the bottom of the castle, not before both of his gloves fly off him. Well, that's awfully convenient. The crystals that are laying atop the castle's many roofs then start to fall, but thankfully, our hero Glover transforms them into bouncy balls as they all bounce into these portals to other realms. Again, awfully convenient. And what happened to the other glove? Oh, it looks like he's evil now. Uh-oh. Glover got fet. Okay, so oof, that's a whole lot to take here. Let's just dive into the game. Oh no, this game is scary. Oh yeah, that's one thing I remember about this game. Nightmare fuel. You can't see anything, the sky is covered in red, that evil menacing laugh just keeps playing in the background. There are bats. Maybe the bats are actually the ones laughing all this time. Oh man, buddy. You alright? Oh, it's no worries though. Thankfully, we got Mr. Tip here to give us some help. Nothing that our friendly neighborhood Mr. Tip can't fix. I don't like that name. The concept of the game is pretty straightforward. You transformed the crystals into balls, so now it's your job to bring the balls back to the castle to recrystallize them and save the wizard. Easy peasy. And of course, you gotta do some platforming to get that done. But it's not just you that gets the platforming done. When you go into a new world for the first time, the ball that you need is right there. Meaning it is your job to bring it safely to the end of each level in order to return it home successfully. That also means this game is one long escort mission. Yoshi's Island, eat your heart out. And you can do a lot with the ball here, to be fair. You can bounce it, you could slap it, you can roll on it, all the standard things that you could do with a hand and a ball that keeps the game's age rating low. And if you're feeling risky, you can transform the ball on the fly to a bowling ball or a small magnetic ball, each having some contextual uses, and lastly, the crystal itself. It scores double points for all of the items that you pick up, but be careful, one false move and... I genuinely love that sound. It's amazing. Basically, you and the ball end up sharing, like, the same life force or something. Like, if you die, you lose a life. But if you lose the ball, you also lose a life. And for some extra fun, sometimes the ball just escapes from you without even meaning to do that, and then it falls, it breaks, then you die. Oh, it's exciting. Oh no, okay, this bee is trying to get to us. Don't worry, ball, I'll handle this. Oh, that's right. I forgot bees can do that. So this is an entire game based around the idea of bringing a ball from point A to point B. And for a concept that's so simplistic, I'll give the game credit, it has a decent amount of variety, mainly in how Glover controls. Very often you'll run into different potions and stuff that help you solve more puzzles, gather collectibles, or just move the ball someplace else. Spinning collectible symbols, a true staple of the 90s. As for the different worlds that you explore, you have the Atlantis, a carnival, a pirate's world, Fortress of Fear, ooh, spooky, the prehistoric era, and lastly, Out of This World. Man, you even get to travel to space? Oh, that's pretty cool. Look at this super cool dino here. I definitely want to party with them. Oh, never mind. No. The changes in the visuals definitely keep the game interesting. The adventure is very bright and colorful, and each level within a world strives for something slightly different. But there is so much fog in this world. Nintendo 64 games notoriously have bad draw distances, so much so that people just ended up jokingly calling it fog. What a cute name for a technical limitation. The soundtrack is surprisingly good too. Most of the tracks are legitimately great. Some of the carnival music, the Atlantis music, even the title screen is pretty good. Didn't see that coming. It's kind of shocking from such a random game like this. Gameplay-wise though, the variety doesn't really exist. It's kind of the same thing the whole way. Just bob and weave the ball safely, hit the switches with the ball, slam your fist into Glover switches, you collect these special Garib cards if you want, and yeah, that's about it. For as weird of a game as this is, it plays pretty well. Glover controls really nicely. The game keeps a fairly consistent frame rate, it's pretty to look at. Compared to some of the other B-tier platformers on this console, it's kind of impressive, actually. It's just those damn ball controls kinda ruin everything. They fight you back at all times, and since the game is all about that, it knocks it down quite a few notches. Whenever you play as Glover, it plays totally fine. Whenever it's just you and not the ball, I never once felt like I didn't have proper full control over his actions. The ball changes everything. Just in terms of basic platforming, so you can't jump with the ball, right? No. You have to dribble it instead, meaning you have to push the button a second before you want to move, since you need to factor in the time it takes for the ball to hit the floor. Oh, and then sometimes the camera absolutely sucks too. Cool, that's fun. And then remember how I said you go to space at the end of the game? It sounds cool, right? And then consider that it's also a lack of gravity. Oh, good God. Now, realistically, it is pretty easy to see why this game got created. Who doesn't love just taking a big bouncing ball and just bouncing it all over the place? It is one of life's simple pleasures. And then you take 3D platformers, which are also awesome, you put those two together. What happened? Thankfully though, the boss battles are relatively simple. It's usually just a matter of hitting them or hitting switches around them, and you just keep doing that until they go down. Except for the Frankenstein monster here, which is just bad. For this one, you have to slowly readjust the positions of all of these platforms to then bring the ball up while bouncing it at the right time to avoid the monster from causing the ball to fall. It's honestly a mess. All the other bosses in this game are fine. Some of them are far too easy for their own good or far too weird. I'm just bowling the ball and hopefully hitting the dinosaur. What? But no, this one sucks. This one is the worst part of the game. And then, rather than having a dedicated final boss, the boss of World 6, Out of This World, is the final boss. The first thing you do here is simply walk into the robot from its foot. There, that was pretty easy. You know, all you gotta do is walk there. It's really not all that difficult. What? I died, but wait, what? I just did it though. Nothing spawned. That was weird. Oh wait, no, there I am. Okay, I just gotta slide into place. Wow. Okay, yeah, we're good. Cool, we're good. And then the last part here is like the most clever part of the entire game. You're a hand, for crying out loud. So you grab like this big control stick, and now you just shoot this flying robot with as many bouncing balls as possible, which somehow hurts it. I don't understand how that works. They're just bouncing balls, but okay. This is some sort of creativity that the entire game could have used. The whole adventure revolves around you holding that ball at all times, but at the very end, it's like, oh yeah, we're a hand, we can do a lot of things. Oops! You bring that final crystal back to the wizard, he returns to normal, as does the evil cross-stitch due to the wizard's magic, and yeah, that wraps up Glover. But you missed 6 bonus levels? Oh, what's that? Sorry, you gotta speak up. I can't hear you over the fact they added seagulls to one of the game's tracks. You gotta speak up. Glover is a weird game. Out of all the B-tier platformers on the N64, it's kinda one of the most iconic. That has to be primarily due to the character's design. I think more people are aware of that than the game itself. And you know what? Fair enough. A 4-fingered glove with the face? You gotta remember, this was a time where they told us that this was a chameleon. Glover made perfect sense. I do want to quickly bring up that there was a PlayStation version of the game as well that released 1 year later. I expected to make this big thing about how different it was, but aside from the graphics, it's actually essentially the same game. I thought there'd be some drastic changes due to how each console handles 3D pretty differently, but it's pretty faithful. That makes this segment less interesting. Aside from the opening now, which is done in CG instead of using the in-game models. And oh man, you got me hooked immediately. I love me some classic PS1 era CG. But with that ends the legacy of Glover. There was actually meant to be a sequel, and it did end up getting fairly far into development as a ROM of the beta got uploaded online. It seemed like it was going to be more of a mission-based game than level-based, and you'd be able to move more things around than just a bouncing ball, so that would have been cool. But sadly, that got cancelled, and I'm pretty sure we'll never see another Glover game again. At the very least, though, we did get Billy Hatcher, and it's kind of like a spiritual successor, right? It's just not the same. But before we wrap things up, I do have to give Glover credit for one more thing. It has one of the most unique cheat code systems in all of gaming. So there's this chicken on a swing that you go and interact with, right? And then he's the one who tells you the cheat codes. That's a really neat idea, right? But, yeah, so all of those sounds end up correlating to the C buttons on the pause menu. It's a neat idea, having cheat codes told to you in-game as opposed to having to look online for them, but all of them make, like, really loud and disgusting noises. But you know what that means. Glover gets a 10 out of 10.